Our owner told me many years ago, Mr. Keller, it doesn't matter how hard you work. If you don't learn how to delegate, you'll never make it past 5 million. So really for us, it's not German market needs and US market needs. It's the Siemens application requires this. The Rockwell application requires this. Probably have lost a few people here and there who couldn't understand that sometimes working with a big German headquarters may be a little different than what they're used to. But they overlook the potential and the benefits that you get from working with a big German corporation.
Welcome to the Westbound Podcast. My name is Matthias Oertzen, founder and managing director of the Oertzen Group. Each month, we bring you international business leaders to share their personal and professional journey in North America. Thank you for spending time with us. And now, let's get to it. I'm very excited to talk to today's guest. It's going to be all about connectivity in a variety of different industries. Welcome, Markus Keller, president of Murrelektronik Inc.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, awesome. So tell us a little bit about you, about the company. You want to go through all of it, obviously. And but maybe we start with the company a little bit, about Murrelektronik, what it does, what companies or industries it serves.
Murrelektronik is a German-based family-owned manufacturer. We are in the industrial automation business. Our main verticals are automotive, logistics, intralogistics, warehouse automation, and packaging. But really, you find our products in a lot of different applications. Anywhere and everywhere where there are machines or automation, there is a need for our products. Our focus is connectivity. Hence, our slogan, stay connected. We really connect the I/O level, sensors and actuators, to the controls level. That's what we do. Company has been around for nearly 50 years now. We're approaching our 50th anniversary. In the US for just shy of 30 years. And we are in a great business, great times for us.
Yeah.
Myself, I came from Germany to the US in 2001. January 31st, 2001, we moved to Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Okay.
And didn't realize how cold it can be in Michigan.
I know.
And
beautiful fall weather and nice leaves changing, but very cold.
Yeah, not in January.
Yeah, not in January.
And then we came to Atlanta to Murrelektronik in 2005. So I've been at Murrelektronik for over 18 years already.
Ah, that's incredible. Yeah, and I think from we've been working together for a few years, and so from what I gathered, only in those 2 years, there's been quite incredible growth. I can only imagine. How has that been from your start at Murrelektronik to now? How much has the organization grown?
We have grown quite a bit. When I started, we had 9 employees. I was number 9. Today, we are at roughly 185.
Wow. Okay.
And the last 2 years were very good for us.
Okay, and that is does some of that have to do with intralogistics and
It's part of it, yes.
Amazon, everybody ordering stuff for being at home.
There are a lot of things that come together. Intralogistics is certainly one of them.
Right.
Another important thing is that we started production in the US in 2015. Late 15, we started local production.
Yeah.
And that has really made a difference over the last few years to help us grow faster than previously. And after 2020, it all came together for us.
Excellent. That's great. So setting all the right, Weichen is the German word. I can't think of it. Setting the track.
Put all the right things in place.
In place, that's correct. Yeah. To then benefit and succeed. Yeah, that's amazing. And so what led you to, or what was critical mass? Where was the decision made to say, okay, we do have to manufacture here? Was it lead times that was really becoming a problem? I would assume that the US and Germany is probably somewhat similar in cost to manufacture, right? Or is it still less expensive here to manufacture?
It's actually less expensive in Germany.
Okay.
For us to manufacture.
Okay.
Based on scale and a lot of reasons. But what really convinced our owner to manufacture is we visited another German family-owned business, really close to our office, and we got a planned tour from the CEO of that business, and he told us how successful they were after they started production and how it allows them to meet specific customer needs that are US specific only, and how they now have products that are developed and produced only in the US
market,
but shipped globally, because lo and behold, often the same needs suddenly pop up outside of the US because companies manufacture outside the US to ship to the US. And really, when he saw that company and how successful they were after they started local production, he was ready to go.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you just got to see it to believe it, and then go for it.
And I admit I underestimated what a difference maker that could be.
Really? And how so? Tell me about it. I mean, I'm assuming part of it is, made in America, right? This really means something to the US.
It's part
consumer.
of it, but the main thing is that like so many German companies, we are really successful in Germany, and it's a big market for us. And there are really big customers in Germany, have established relationships for many, many years. And when we come with opportunities for the US that may be special in Germany, it's sometimes hard to get the attention of product management. And they say, look, it's not such a big opportunity. Compare your opportunity to what we got out of the German automotive industry.
Sure.
And even something that looked really big to us as the US organization didn't get a lot of traction in Germany. And often we were just too slow. Processes move differently in Germany than they move in the US. And with our own production, we are just less dependent on getting stuff from Germany. We still get a lot from Germany, don't get me wrong. There are standards that we get from Germany. We are very good at making these in Germany, but US specific, customer specific, we are much better in the US.
So you do your own product management then, and some of the design and engineering also here?
We do our own product management, and we started doing design as well. Yes.
Okay, yeah, fantastic. So you can respond much faster to some of your, and I hear that a lot actually, where there is orders that come out of the US, they don't have quite the priority in Germany than they maybe should be, or compared to a European customer that you've done business with for, in Murrelektronik's case, 50 years you said, right? Yeah. I can see how those things, and there's the squeaky wheel, right? You've got an account manager or a regional sales manager. They are making sure that their order goes through when now you've been able to set this up here as well. And so you are at home or your location here is in Georgia? Swanee, okay.
Swanee, just outside the perimeter, about 15 minutes from the perimeter.
Got it. Northern suburbs? Exactly.
Northeastern suburb, yes.
Okay, yeah, very good. And you have your corporate team there, warehousing, manufacturing, okay.
Yes.
And then how are you set up across North America, so to say?
So we have a secondary warehouse and office location in Michigan to be closer to the automotive customers in the Midwest. We also have an office with R&D and production in Minnesota, which produces a little bit a different part of our product range. And then we have salespeople all over the US.
And you have them in geographical territories working. Do you have them organized by verticals, or are they key accounts, or how do you have them organized?
Everything. We have them organized by territories, by verticals, and by key accounts.
Okay, yeah, very interesting. So tell us a bit about like automotive. You say automotive, right? That's a lot of different things. Like, so how do your products, connectivity, understood?
Yeah.
But how do they, what's an example? Like,
so our biggest automotive customers are German automotive manufacturers. They are close to where our office is. And the biggest application in automotive for us is the body shop.
The body shop.
There's a lot going on with all the robots, all the tools, and the tool changes. And so that's where we have the biggest applications for us. We also have applications in the transmission. Machine tools, really. Machine tools and the automation in between the machine tools.
Got it, okay.
And then just general machining for all the tier ones. But the number one application is the body shop with all the robots. Those are the biggest projects for us. And there it's again I/O connectivity. Our biggest success story in that application is our what we call the I/O modules. It's a product we call MVK. It's a metal box with electronics in it to connect up to 16 signals on the robot, the end-of-arm tooling, or whatever the application is. And a lot of these are being used for typically it's a new plant or a new assembly line.
Very interesting. So your customers would be, and you don't have to confirm or not confirm, but they would be Georg Fischer, maybe someone like a Grob, DMG Mori, some of that do the in-house.
Machine tools is certainly part of it, but on the body side, it's really the OEMs, the car manufacturers themselves.
Okay, yeah.
And we are the exclusive I/O supplier to two of the leading German car manufacturers.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Fantastic. That's really great. Yeah. So that's Southeast business, probably mostly, I would assume. Southwest. Okay. Excellent. Very good. And then intralogistics, right? So what are we talking about? The Amazons of this world and or DHLs, or where would your products go there?
It's in intralogistics. Sometimes we don't even know who the customer is because there the work is often done through the integrators, the machine builders, and you can Google the 10 largest intralogistics companies in the world.
Yeah, Integrated used to be one, now it's Honeywell. Yeah, okay.
You find them, and it depends on who they do work for. Sometimes they have a certain approved product list. Sometimes they provide their own specification. But Amazon is certainly a big part of logistics in this country are based on the online shop model that they have. And a lot of packages go through Amazon warehouses every day. But there are others that are working on warehouse automation. A labor shortage is, I think, something that we all are dealing with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it gets harder and harder to staff a warehouse properly with talented employees who are willing to stay. And that's where automation can make a big difference.
Yeah. And then I saw on your website, I know that's a bit of a close-kept secret, but on the website you published some figures that the group worldwide was just over 400 million, I think, last year. And I know a significant portion of that is the U.S. market. What would you say has led to this exponential growth, really? Are the products that unique? Is the distribution or sales strategy that unique? What is it that makes you shine?
I don't think there's this one thing where we can say that's the difference. I would like to believe that it's really a accumulation of many years of hard work with a core of employees that has been relatively stable for many, many years, and putting the sales and business development strategy in place. We were ready when the opportunity presented itself in 2020, when we saw the logistics business really go up, that we were able to... Opportunity means preparation.
There we
Thank
go.
you.
Yeah, sorry, I was thinking about who said it. I think it was a famous quarterback. Anyways, we got it together.
I'm more like Yogi Berra, who says things that don't make a lot of sense. So opportunity met preparation, and it's really the strategy, the products that we have really lend itself for these applications. We had new products come out at the right time to be prepared for the opportunity that we met. And I would say operationally we just have, it helps when you have a large parent company behind you.
Of course.
Where you have not unlimited but tremendous manufacturing resources to be able to meet this incredible increase in demand.
It's interesting how you said you were first in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and then you came to Georgia, two very different regions. And I'm not trying to just compliment you, but you are of one of many of the people that I deal with. You're one of the more assimilated ones. Someone who is truly playing in both worlds, right? And what do you think are some of the biggest challenges and biggest opportunities in dealing with a German headquarter and having a strong parent company, so to say?
It's a question. It's a tricky question because sometimes you may have certain thoughts that you may not be able to express openly.
Understood. Yeah.
But I think what is often hard, it's not only the Germans in America. I think it's most companies in most countries.
Okay.
I heard the same thing about a guy working in Germany for an American company. I'm struggling with the American culture, right? That they don't fully understand how the German market works.
Right.
I'm going to use an example something I experienced. It's probably about 10 years ago.
Right.
When we look at the automotive world, most guys understand the automotive world. Most people, Volkswagen is one of the leading, I think the second largest manufacturer of cars worldwide. But I think Volkswagen, considering their potential, isn't truly successful in the US. They are making progress now, but for many years, Volkswagen really wasn't as successful as you would expect it, the number 2 worldwide.
I've been here 18 years and I can completely agree. Except for the Jetta, I think nothing has done particularly well.
But things started to turn around for Volkswagen when they opened their plant in, I think it's in Chattanooga. And they developed a car, or now multiple cars specifically for the US market. And the first one, if I remember correctly, was the Passat. So they still had the same nameplate, the Passat, but except for maybe some powertrain, transmission parts, the car itself was an American product, American design. And around the time I traveled with one of our product managers from Germany in the US. We traveled in Michigan, visited customers. And again, I tried to explain that what may be considered an excellent product in Germany may not meet the expectations or the needs of the American market. And we were in the car, traveling on the highway, and I explained the Volkswagen story to him. And lo and behold, that moment, a Passat came the other way, an American designed Passat. And I said, look, here's the Passat. Volkswagen built a plant just for this car in the US market. And at that time, he said, I can't understand and I can't believe that they would build a car just for the US market. And he started arguing with me that some parts must be from Germany, like the front grille. He didn't understand that the US car market is probably 3 times the size of the German car market, and that you just can't necessarily sell the standard German car in the American market, even after we went over the Volkswagen numbers. So they often think, and again, it's not only the Germans in America, I think it's worldwide. People often think that what's considered great in their home country also works in a different country. And I always think that one of the dangers in the US is when we have visitors from Germany, they think the US is nearly the same as Germany, right? We drive similar cars. Yes, they're a little bigger, but we like Porsches in America, and Audi is rather successful, Mercedes, BMW. We drive on the same side of the road. We eat similar food. It seems to be so similar to Europe. And often people think after they've been here for a week or 2 visiting customers, they understand the country. But they don't understand the differences when you communicate with an American customer who you make a presentation and they say, oh, that's interesting, or really great product. And they always think, oh, we want that customer, we are going to make business at this account. And then you tell them, no, I don't think this was a good, successful visit. Why? He said he likes it. Yes. I didn't ask you how much it is. He didn't ask you how it works or this or that. And they just don't see that you don't hear the word no very often in the US. And so things like that sometimes make it challenging to get them to understand that it may be more different than they think it is.
Yeah. I always have this saying, it's like, don't overlook our differences because of our similarities, right? There, like you said, I think oftentimes company preparing going to Asia is a very different thing, like different alphabet, people look different, right? Different foods for certain, different culture, all that kind of stuff. And because we grew up with the same music and, like, I mean, I'm going to age myself, but like Knight Rider and A-Team and whatever the things were that I watched in my youth, you think that you just like them, and then you come here and you see all these extreme. To me, the U.S. is a land of the extremes. You see all of it. You see the most fit people, and you see the opposite, right? You see the most beautiful, and you see the opposite, right? You see the most ignorant, and you see the opposite. It's a land of extremes, in my opinion. Yeah.
And what I think makes it even harder is a lot of them speak the language.
Mm-hmm.
They speak English well,
mm-hmm.
and they think based on that they understand.
Mm-hmm.
But often they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Goes
Yeah.
both ways, by the way. It's
Yeah.
the same when Americans talk to Germans.
Yeah.
They think, oh, I understand what they say. And I often see that
Mm-hmm.
they don't talk with each other, they
Mm-hmm.
talk at each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So your business is like many businesses, but even more so. It's important. You have boots on the ground, and you have people out there, educating about your products, upcoming releases, and such. Do you see a large difference in like European or specifically German and American sales culture?
I don't know that I'm qualified to answer that. I left Germany 22 years ago.
That's a good question.
And I haven't sold in Germany in 22 years.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay.
I don't know how it is today.
Sure.
It probably changed since I left Germany.
Yeah.
I remember one incident though. I was at a trade show in Germany,
Mm-hmm.
and the German account manager for one of our big German automotive accounts
Mm-hmm.
called me over and said, "Hey, Mr. Keller, we have customer XYZ at the booth, and
Mm-hmm.
they have facilities in the US,
Mm-hmm.
and they really would like them to use Murrelektronik,
Mm-hmm.
and we would like to talk to you about who to approach in the US and how to sell your product."
Mm-hmm.
And so I met with them, had a conversation. And at the end of the day, I joked, said, well, it wouldn't just be good for you if they use our product, it would be good for us too.
Yeah.
And that was already too much for the German customer.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't allowed to really express that, oh, it's good for us if you get the business, and we want the business and we want to grow. Even though that was the purpose of the meeting.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So my feeling is we can be more on the attack, on the offense in the US. I'm allowed to tell a customer, I want your business, what do I have to do to earn it?
Yeah.
Not sure the Germans appreciate it that
Yeah,
much.
it's interesting. So we do recruiting, and that's how we got to know each other. It's interesting. I can always tell the level of assimilation of a CEO that I work with by this thing I'm about to say. So in an offer letter negotiation, if a CEO has been here long enough, they usually appreciate if a candidate asks for a little bit more money specifically in a sales role, because it's just customary, right? It's just part of it, yeah. Whereas, I work with a lot of clients that just started, which is completely fine. We love working with them too, but there it's like, okay, now expect, that they will ask like, oh, no, we want to make sure we're as close as possible. No, we're going to get you close, but still expect there's going to be a small amount that needs to be negotiated for. It's just how it works.
Yes.
And it's not German.
I always think we expect them to go negotiate with our customers.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But we don't accept that they negotiate for themselves.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And today, when I make an offer for maybe I shouldn't say that, when I make an offer for let's say, management or leadership position, I'm probably a little nervous if the candidate doesn't try to negotiate something.
Right, yeah.
Just to test the water if there is more in it for them.
Yeah. It's interesting. I have some good friends when we were talking about this stuff, and people confuse the Germans for the Scots. I know you're out of the Schwabenländle, so that's
I'm a Badener.
Oh, you're Badener. I'm sorry. I take it back.
Grenzbadener. Yeah. I grew up right at the border to Swabia.
Okay, I did my civil service close to Stuttgart, Pforzheim area, and that's as a northern light, as I would be called, or Nordlicht. I learned about the difference between the Badeners and the Schwaben.
Badener.
Sorry. That's
not a nice word.
Something. Yeah. Yes. Sorry about that. No, what I was telling my friend is like we're not Scots, which are known for being very frugal, right? Now your area in Germany is known for being very frugal, but in general, Germans are not hecklers or negotiators, or it's not part of our culture in general.
I always think Swabia is hard for people to understand. On one hand, they have the reputation to be frugal. Some call them cheap. But then look at the two leading car manufacturers coming out of Stuttgart.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's Mercedes and Porsche.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
let's keep going. Bosch. So, all of them. Yeah.
So I always say the Swabians know value. They want value.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And if you look at, if you are in Stuttgart and you see many of our clients are from that area. Absolute cutting edge. I just saw this morning, I think, in the most innovative, it was top 20 most innovative countries in the world. There were two Germans, one was Siemens, and the other one was Bosch. Yeah, very good. Tell us a bit about Markus Keller. I know you started in Ann Arbor. You're an engineer by trade, right?
I'm an engineer by trade,
Yeah.
yes. I got my engineering degree in Germany. And I realized really towards the end before I graduated, that I really don't want to work as an engineer.
Okay.
Too many details for me. I always said, I don't care about the tolerance for a bearing or whatever. I want to know it works so I can go sell it. So the first company that I worked for after I graduated, they actually had 2 job openings. One was in construction, mechanical construction. And I thought, well, I need a job. If that's all they have, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I need a paycheck.
Yeah.
But then they also had an opening in inside sales.
Don't you wish we had some more people like that today? They're like, I just need a paycheck. I'll take that job. You know, right now we're all scratching for the right people.
Yeah.
So sorry.
But so I got the job in inside sales.
Okay.
And I realized that I enjoyed that a lot more, working with people, working with customers, understanding their applications, coming up with a better solution than maybe my competition, and just come up with smart solutions that work for the customers and work for us as a company, as a vendor. And first I had this mix in Germany. You have a lot of times you have inside sales people who travel, go to customers from headquarters, and then they go back to do some project work, whatever. And at that time I always said, well, I don't want to do outside sales. Yeah. I don't want to knock on doors.
Yeah. Klinkenputzer. That's
Klinkenputzer.
Like that's the thing about sales too that I find so interesting. Like like you said, I've also been here 18 years, so it really may have changed, and I see some signs of that in different industries. But back in the day when I was still there, it was very much it almost had a bit of a bad rap.
Yes,
you know, if it got too salesy. Yeah.
My parents actually, I grew up on a farm, a dairy farm, and my parents were very proud when I got my engineering degree. But then I started in inside sales. And honestly, for many years, at that time, job openings were in the Saturday newspaper. For many years, my dad, when I was home for the weekend, showed me the Saturday newspaper, said, look, this company is looking for engineers, and this company is looking for engineers, and why don't you work as an engineer? And so for him, it wasn't easy that I didn't want to work as an engineer, but preferred the inside sales position. But eventually I realized, boy, sales has a lot of power. Funny how decisions are often dictated by what sales requests. And eventually I realized, boy, if I really want to have an impact on a business, it's probably not a bad idea to really go into outside sales. So that's when we came to the US, 2001, and I had my first true outside sales position.
How did that come to be? Like the going to the US? Were you actively seeking out to go to the US and work for a company there? Or
it started with my wife asking, could you imagine going to a foreign country for a while?
Interesting.
We have 3 kids.
Yeah.
We had 3 kids at that time already. Third one was just on the way.
Okay.
And she said it would be a chance for the kids to learn another language.
Had you traveled a lot already before
within Europe? Yes,
within Europe.
Within our means, travel in Europe.
So always been curious about everything.
And I was in the US once prior to being married with my best buddy.
Yeah.
I admit I didn't know that much about the US. And I said, you know what? Why not? I don't know that anybody's going to hire me with 3 little kids, but let's try. And I started looking for, and the company I worked for in Germany was a very solid company, but old-fashioned and slow. And 2 months after I started there as an inside sales engineer, my boss asked me to the office and complained that my phone costs were too high.
Called too many customers?
Landline.
Yeah.
Not cell phone. My landline phone cost was too high.
Wow.
If I couldn't send more faxes or letters. And I thought, really?
Yeah.
I thought I'm in sales.
Yeah.
And so that was the mindset in that solid but old-fashioned company.
Sure.
And I said, you know what, let's try. And I started looking for opportunities in July. I found 2 opportunities really quick. And the second company, the one that I eventually ended up working for in Michigan, they were real quick after I sent my application, interviewed in Germany, flew to Michigan for a second interview. And then I said, look, here's an offer, we'll take you. And I said, holy shucks, we got to make a decision.
Yeah.
We considered other countries before.
Okay.
I actually interviewed with a French company, but my French is so bad that they couldn't possibly hire me. And then we looked at all the English-speaking countries.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the US is it.
Yeah.
It's the biggest market. It has the biggest diversity of areas where you can work. It has a lot of German companies that may be looking for employees in the US.
Yeah.
So it was really quickly very clear it's going to be the US.
Yeah.
And I got an offer, and we decided we'll accept the offer.
Yeah.
And when I resigned, my boss asked me, why are you leaving? And I said, look, I'm going to the US.
Yeah.
And he said, boy, I understand you have to take it. And he told me that he had an offer 10, 15, 20 years ago to go to a foreign country.
Yeah.
And he said, so today, he didn't take it. So today he says, I'm thinking about what if.
What if?
So you have to take it. And I'm sad you're leaving, but I understand why you are leaving.
Yeah.
And 3.5 months later, we were in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
That's incredible.
January 31st, 2001.
Yeah. What a January 31st, 2001. Okay, gotcha. Wow. Okay, so this
really
is
cold.
Yeah.
A lot of snow on the ground.
Right. Yeah.
And already in the middle of the recession.
Wow. And 8 months before 9/11.
8 months before 9/11.
Wow.
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah.
I was scheduled to fly to Germany 2 or 3 days later after 9/11.
Really? Okay.
Obviously, that didn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
And in our industry, I was machine tool related. We already had a severe recession. That got even worse after September 11. So there were some really difficult months where basically was no business to be had.
Sure.
Companies stopped investing money.
Yeah.
I sold machines, capital goods, and there was not much business around. It was scary for a while.
Yeah, I can imagine. How so were you recruited to come to Murrelektronik, or how did you make the transition there?
They actually had a job posting on the internet.
Okay.
And I found that, and that's how I got together with Murrelektronik.
Yeah, interesting. And so you told me something I want to learn, or want our listeners to hear about, is so Murrelektronik is not like unlike many other companies where that's actually the name of the founder in the name, but it is. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Mur, or in German, die Mur, is a river that flows right past our headquarters building in Germany.
Okay, gotcha. And that's why it's Murrelektronik.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when customers ask us, we also always say, look, there could be Mur Bank or Mur Concrete.
Yeah.
We just happen to be Murrelektronik.
Nice and humble, as Swabians are, right? Or Badener in this case. Yeah.
Well, our owner is Swabian.
Oh, he's Swabian. Okay, gotcha. So the company is actually on the Swabian side.
Oh, yeah. Company's on the Swabian side.
Gotcha.
And now I'm questioning whether he might have grown up in Baden.
Okay. I'm getting in all kinds
of trouble. Not 100%
I'm getting sure. My apologies. I'm getting in all kinds of trouble here. I've tried.
Our company is deep within Swabia.
Got it. Okay, excellent. Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, fantastic. How many? How large is the organization? I already said roughly around 400 million. And how many people?
A little over 400 million euros. Yeah. Last year, it actually was 21.
Okay.
I think those are the numbers that we are publishing, and we have over 3,000 employees worldwide.
Wow, incredible! And it's not publicly traded. It's owned by an individual.
Privately held by the family of the founder.
By the family of the founder.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, that's an incredible story. Like so many other German companies, and doing very well in the United States. Where do you see the company going? What is next? What are the plans?
Certain things I can't talk about.
Sure.
But we are absolutely convinced that automation is going to keep growing.
Sure.
Companies are going to keep automating. It is not to replace people. Sometimes people think, the people are going to lose their jobs.
Yeah.
A lot of the jobs that are being automated are jobs that people don't want to make.
Right.
Or are really bad for people to do
right.
because it's repetitive, it's hard work. And automation creates new jobs.
Yeah.
In automation.
Right. There's the same argument about AI, by the way. Like there's this huge train of thought right now that with AI, you're going to replace a bunch of work that people don't want to do or probably shouldn't be doing, just just very simple, clerical work, so to say. So they could probably aspire to do something else. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
So automation is going to keep growing.
Yep.
We have a management team and an owner family in Germany who believe in the opportunity in the Americas. Mm-hmm. It's not only the US, it's really North America, mm-hmm. the Americas. Mm-hmm. It's when you read Jim Collins, the flywheel, mm-hmm. or success creates success. Mm-hmm. The more successful you are, the more resources you're going to get to mm-hmm. focus on this market. Mm-hmm. And we have a lot of amazing products in the pipeline. Some of them have been rolled out on LinkedIn and other channels already. Some mm-hmm. of them we are not talking about yet. Mm-hmm. But growing market, big country, lots of opportunity. And we see here and there trends that people want a nearshore. They prefer to source from mm-hmm. companies with local production mm-hmm. after what they experienced after COVID hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Do you already do business in Mexico and in Canada as well?
We are really successful in Canada.
Okay.
We are not quite where we should be in Mexico. Sometimes it's easier to do your work right here locally sure. than to travel. And travel to Mexico got really difficult after COVID.
Yeah, absolutely. Got absolute lockdown. Yeah.
We put our Mexican plans on hold.
Yeah.
And focus on. We have our own office in our own company in Canada.
Yeah.
So for us, we just focus on the US market.
Sure. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Now Mexico is opening up. We have to look at our activities there.
Yeah.
But it's just at the beginning there.
Yeah. It's interesting how you speak about nearshoring, onshoring, right? Like looking at Mexico, it might be the winner of this geopolitical change that we're all going through, right? I mean, it's the closest to the largest economy in the world, and it's already there's a lot of trade going on. If there's a bunch of problems that I think we're all aware of, that need to be taken care of. But other than that, it's I know I've been to Querétaro a couple mm-hmm. of times and León area too, Puebla, looked at that, and already lots of European business. Yes. German always sticks out to me in specific, of course, and
lots of automotive.
Lots of automotive. So I think that'll be a great opportunity there for you as well. Yeah, but I mean the US is I think we're 8 times the GDP than Germany, something like that. Must be.
US to Germany.
Yeah.
I would have said it's more like 6 times, but it's a lot bigger than Germany.
It is a lot. Yes. So tons of opportunity to go about it there. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, excellent. That's very good. Let's talk a little bit more about Europe and the US and working with. What are some of the challenges that you deal with dealing with the German headquarter, or expats coming? Do you use expats coming here?
If you define expats as people coming from Germany on a expat contract for, let's say, a specified time frame, generally no. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean we have never done it before.
Sure.
But generally no. Mm-hmm. We prefer to hire in the market for the market. Mm-hmm. And I actually try to not hire too many Germans who might have come as expats
right.
and stayed in the US, to not give the feeling that, if you aren't German, you won't be able to get into management position.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But we do have some people who came from Germany.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It just happened over the years. We had people with certain special knowledge, mm-hmm. and they may have been open for a change. Mm-hmm. So then you take advantage of that. Mm-hmm. But in general, it's not our strategy.
Yeah.
Challenges between the US and Germany. Again, I would say my feeling is that this is not only going one way, it goes both ways. Mm-hmm. And it goes really, depending on how different the culture is, mm-hmm. it applies to many different countries. Mm-hmm. One thing, look what I just said about Mexico. Mm-hmm. It's far away, mm-hmm. and it's difficult to travel, and
right.
we are not quite there yet. Mm-hmm. US is so much easier. Mm-hmm. Look at Germany. Mm-hmm. And look at the German headquarters. Same thing applies there. Same language. It's so much easier to travel. There's already more business. It's easier to talk to customers. So you always fight for resources.
Sure.
And often in our industry, it's not only Germany, it's the European market. In our industry, Europe has very similar requirements when it comes to products. Asia is a little bit its own universe when it comes to our products, but often they are closer to what the US requires based on a lot of Asian companies shipping equipment to the US.
Over here, yeah.
And then there's our office often talks about the US market, but it's really the Americas. In our world, the first question that we have to ask is a customer using Siemens, the European market leader, dominant in Germany and in Europe, or is their controls architecture based on Rockwell automation? American, strong in the Americas, reasonably successful in Asia. So really for us, it's not German market needs and US market needs, it's the Siemens application requires this, the Rockwell application requires this.
Interesting.
But with us being based in Germany, obviously we have a lot more Siemens applications.
Sure.
So if you're looking for your quickest return on invest, you have to develop for the Siemens market. If your long-term strategy really specifies that you want to be present in every part of the world and supply product independent of the control architecture, you have to develop for the Rockwell world as well.
Okay.
And this is where then the US plays a leading role because it's by far the largest market for the Rockwell architecture.
Interesting. So with it driven by these two control systems, can you then almost say it's not, so it's almost not really market specific, it's really by these control systems then, right?
There are nuances that are market specific, but first of all, it's
the control system. Okay.
And there are others. It's not only Siemens.
Sure, there's Beckhoff and whatever.
There is Schneider, there's Beckhoff, there's Omron, there's Mitsubishi, there's B&R. But the big ones for us really are Siemens and Rockwell. So you first have the control architecture and we are very well established in the Siemens world based on the German automotive.
Sure.
We are not that far yet with the Rockwell architecture because, success breeds success, and it took us a while to get to the level where we are today, to get more attention, more resources. The Siemens architecture is also more open than the Rockwell architecture.
Interesting.
So sometimes it's easier to integrate with the Siemens system than it is with the Rockwell system.
Do you supply other certain major accounts like outside of the United States? Because that's a product that you make here and you have a contract in the United States with that major account, but then product also goes to Asia somewhere? Or?
So we have certain specifications for cable because a big part of what we do is connectors that have a cable. And
I've seen your warehouse, there's a lot of SKUs.
Yes. And there are specifications, cable specifications that are specifically for the US market.
Okay.
It's a cable type called TPE. For many years, when we were really small as an organization, 12, 13, 14 people, I traveled to Germany, talked to the product manager, said, look, I can't sell to GM or Ford. And the answer often was, but our German standard, PUR, is much better. It doesn't matter. It's better in your eyes, but it's not better in my customer eyes.
Right.
That's why they don't specify it.
Right, yeah.
So today we offer the whole range that the US market needs. And again, lo and behold, surprisingly, we find applications outside of the US where customers say, oh, but I need TPE cables because my equipment is going to end up in the US. And so this standard today is mainly produced in the US, and then we ship it to other countries where the customers are building the equipment.
Interesting. Yeah, I think somewhat of the same fight is going on right now with electrical vehicle charging stations, right? There's a lot going on there right now. What will prevail, in the future? I know you drive a Tesla, so that's probably interesting to you as well. growing from, you said 12 people, 19 people, to well over 150 people now. What have some of the challenges been there? Did you have to overcome? It's like, I don't want to work for a German company, or like I don't know about the Europeans, or has it been an asset where people are like, I'm curious, or is it? You go ahead.
I think it can be a tremendous asset.
Yeah.
It also can be a challenge sometimes. German family-owned businesses have very good reputation in general. They treat their employees well. They don't make decisions based on quarterly results. There's a long-term plan, and employee well-being is really important to the owners typically. At least in my experience, our benefits packages are often better than what you find in similar non-German family businesses. But there are also challenges when your American employees see opportunities that the Germans may not see. They may see it differently, or they don't have the resources, or you didn't put this in a budget last year, we don't have it planned. So sometimes Americans, it's frustrating because, boy, when you find an opportunity, you go for it, whether it was in a budget or not. So it can be a problem sometimes. And we probably have lost a few people here and there who couldn't understand that sometimes working with a big German headquarters may be a little different than what they're used to. But they overlook the potential and the benefits that you get from working with a big German corporation. But really, our biggest challenge, my biggest challenge over the years was just adjusting the organization. I remember a time when I was sitting in my office and I thought, gosh, nothing works in this company, and it's so slow, and why doesn't it work? And then eventually I started drawing an org chart. And I realized that everybody was reporting to me. And eventually I had to come to the conclusion that it was probably me why nothing worked and things didn't get done. And so that was probably the first really big hurdle to overcome, to start building an organization and put management and layers in place where not everything went through me. And that was sometimes around 11, 12 or 13. We have been in multiple offices over the years, and I always think about, okay, which office I was in when that and that happened. So that was office number 2. And I had to start putting layers in place. And
that's incredible. I mean, I'm very, as you know, I'm building a recruitment business. We're 2.5 years old and we have 7 employees right now, and I aspire to grow the company significantly. And I find it really interesting that, you get to a certain point where you really, it's you as the leader that's stopping, and you need to reinvent itself, or the business is staying at that level. And that's probably a somber day, when you realize that.
It's you. Our owner told me many years ago, Mr. Keller, it doesn't matter how hard you work. If you don't learn how to delegate, you'll never make it past 5 million. So he went through the same thing when he built the business, and he was absolutely right.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, if you hire that many people, that's lots of different ideas coming in, which is lots of energy, but also drama gets invited, structures have to be created. I mean, just on the HR side, I'm thinking about, certain policy that fits. And
of course, we didn't have HR at the beginning. Finance did HR on the side. I think in so many small companies.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I think finance is really not the area that should do HR.
No.
We did the same thing. And that's just how it was. So,
Yeah, well, but you got it there, and the company is doing extremely well and is set up to take the next leap. So that's fantastic.
Doing okay, not extremely well.
Okay, gotcha. Doing okay. All right.
I remember the time when I interviewed everybody for every position. I interviewed them, and eventually there came a time when I came back from a trip and I went to the office, and I thought, who the heck is that? And I had to go to the department manager and ask, hey, who is that? Because I didn't even know we were hiring. So things change over the years.
I do know you also use, which I always thought was so I'm going to full transparency as a recruiter, right? If a client comes with a personality assessment, right, in the process, for a recruiter, it's really a nuisance most of the time. And I'll tell you why. Because it slows up the process. And unless the company really has done an assessment of all of the management team and the entire population is really actively using this tool, to train people and move them around and such. It's really it's a crutch that you shouldn't be using. Just use your intuition until you're ready to really go through the whole program with the whole company. Well, I know you've done that, and when we started working together, you've really what has led you to using these tests and
assessments.
The assessments, that's right, they are assessments, yes. Tell me a little bit about that. I'm sure you didn't use them when there was 12 of you.
I started using them when we were probably 15.
15, okay.
I struggled to find the right salespeople who could succeed in our environment. And everybody we hired was successful in a previous position, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't have hired them.
Sure.
And I already used recruiters back then, so it's not like we just had people send in resumes and we picked up whoever sent a resume. We had recruiters who brought the candidates. And eventually, I just got frustrated that people were able to be successful in other environments, but they weren't able to succeed in our environment. And I hired a sales coach. In 2008, we had our first sales training. We had a couple of reps who were in the room, and our direct salespeople. I think there were all of 3 of them, maybe 4. It's been a long time. And I sat in a training, and I went to dinner with the trainer afterwards. And I said, look, after today, given your impression, my feeling is I'm in trouble. And Americans don't always want to be so blunt or so direct. So he kept talking about it's important to match requirements with skills and this and that and that. And eventually said, look, just give it to me straight. I can't read between the lines. And he said, yep, you got to fire at least two of your people.
Wow.
Because they're not right for your environment. And eventually, I flew a lot to Germany at the time, and you have a lot of time when you're on the plane. Back then, there was no Wi-Fi on plane, right? Today, you got Wi-Fi on the plane, so emails keep coming in even while you're in the air. But back then, when I came back from Germany, you had nearly 10 hours with not much to do if you don't want to watch a movie. So you worked on the emails that you downloaded before you boarded the plane. And eventually I realized, boy, I have all these assessments from all these candidates. Let me look at whether I find what differentiates the one who were successful in our environment from the ones who did not succeed in our environment. And that's when eventually I found certain similarities between the people who did really well and the people who struggled. And I have used these assessments ever since. And it's still not perfect. You have still situations where it doesn't work out the way you expect it to. But our success rate has been a lot better since we used the assessment.
It's a data point, right? I mean, you still use your gut, you still use your team to give you their impressions, right? But it's one additional data point to make a decision, and so that's very interesting. Yeah, I think this has been extremely informative. Everything about from you to Murrelektronik. At this time, maybe you have any positions you're looking to fill? Are there any social media channels you would like to promote? I do know you're quite active on LinkedIn through Murrelektronik. This will be a good time to maybe share with our listeners if you're looking, if anything is itching that you need to hire soon, or any other channels.
We always have openings based on our growth. Customer service is still growing. We still need more experienced, really good customer service reps. We are looking at corporate marketing, strategic marketing, and always looking for salespeople, right? Always looking for the right salespeople and business development people. I think those are the biggest needs at the moment. We have hired so many people since 2020. It's unbelievable. When I look at our office and I see how many of our employees started just a year or 2 years ago. Sometimes people wonder, oh, do you have a problem with turnover because you have always new people? I said, no, look at our team who has been here prior to 2020. We didn't lose a lot of them, but we just had to hire so many based on the growth. And generally, we always have opportunities for the right person.
And they should go to
www.murrelektronik.com. Or go to my LinkedIn profile, Markus Keller, and shoot me a note. We actually hired a manufacturing engineer a few years ago. She reached out to me on LinkedIn.
Great.
Just sent me a contact request. And I looked at her profile and I sent her profile to our head of HR. Said, look, it appears that she's looking for a job based on her profile. And it looks like we need somebody.
Right.
And we hired her like 4 weeks later.
Absolutely.
So reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's always an opportunity.
Yeah, sure. It's interesting. I add a little bit of recruiter advice, okay? If you as a candidate hear that a recruiter is involved in a search, I would highly recommend you only talk to the recruiter, because going directly to the hiring, it's not just in my interest, but going to the hiring manager, they had a reason for hiring the recruiter to begin with, and it just messes up the entire process. I mean, I've seen multiple times where someone didn't get an offer because they went directly around the recruiter. On the flip side, do not shy away from reaching out to a decision maker such as yourself in a company that you aspire to work for, even though you might not see a job opening on their website, because you never know, because you already have in your head what's happening next. That is not even aware HR isn't even aware of it, and and it's definitely not on your website or on LinkedIn or wherever you post jobs. So that's always a good thing to go about. Yeah. Markus, it's been a real pleasure. I really enjoyed talking to you, learning more about Murrelektronik and you, and maybe we could do it again sometime.